AI kind of opened this world for everyone. So you don't have to be a copywriter and now you can create these amazing blogs, but that doesn't make you a copywriter. A blog is so much more than just a text. And especially if you use it for business, you want to SEO optimize it. You want to have a story. It needs to be the tone of the brand. It's like everything needs to be aligned. Now all the big companies are trying to go towards AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, which means that it's getting closer to like human-like thinking, which might sound scary, but I think this will actually be the game changer in terms of creativity. You have to think ChatGPT is your intern and you have to give it as many information as you can, and then if it doesn't give you what you want, then you did a bad job. Because now it works like a search engine. Everyone is checking everything on Instagram and puts best restaurants in Instagram search. We didn't do that before. We did it with Google, and now this completely changed.
Hi, welcome to Below the Fold.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you for being here on your weekend. I know that you work in advertising as well, like me, so you must be very busy during the week and you need the weekend to relax. But you're here now.
And it's a fun activity. I'm very happy to be here.
Awesome. How about you give the viewers, listeners, a bit of an intro?
Okay, so my name is Franciska. I'm in Dubai for 1.5 years now. Previously, I lived in Ireland. I worked in B2B marketing for an IT company called DocuSign. I mainly focused on blog creation, website optimization through SEO, customer advocacy, and partner advocacy. So I led video projects like, Jägermeister maybe, the brand, the German one. So
Okay.
Did project management there, and then of course social media.
Fantastic.
Then I came to Dubai. I switched to B2C marketing, and now in the F&B and hospitality industry. I work for a content creation agency, and we're helping brands to create digital identities. I really love it. The two experiences are quite different, but they're both awareness marketing. So it's all top funnel, and yeah. I'm very happy to be in Dubai, and I think the marketing landscape is changing so much, and we are in the right place for sure.
Right, we are absolutely in the right place, and we're here today to talk about AI and the applications of AI, and the use of AI in our day-to-day marketing jobs, right?
Exactly.
Even though that I know that you have very deep knowledge of and usage of AI, the potential is way bigger than just how you apply it in marketing, right?
Yes,
we were discussing the other day.
limitless. Yes.
We were talking about how you can replicate codes, right, on AI, which is mind-blowing.
Yeah. Everything is possible nowadays, which is amazing.
Yeah.
It's scary as well, but it's really cool.
Yeah. Let's talk about marketing,
Okay.
right? How can you use AI in marketing? And how about we go through these lists of questions,
Okay.
right? And we debate whether they're true or false.
Sounds like a plan. Let's do it.
Let's do
Sounds
it.
good.
And of course, the listeners can
Debate as well.
can comment.
Okay.
They can participate. All right, great. So let's get started. AI will replace traditional roles in marketing, such as copywriters.
Ooh, nice one.
True or false?
I say false, but I think I need to explain a little bit. But what do you think first?
I think false nowadays,
Okay.
but I'm not sure about copywriters. Copywriters is a tricky one.
Oh, I have some good points where I can
You have some good
prove-
points.
Yes,
Do you,
yes.
do you want to talk about marketing roles in general before we get to
No,
copywriters?
I think copywriting is the perfect example, actually.
Let's go. Let's do it.
All right. So first we need to define copywriting, because a person that is just putting a prompt into ChatGPT and says, oh, can you please do this, create this blog for me? Would you consider this copywriting?
Yes.
And that's where we already disagree, because AI kind of opened this world for everyone. So you don't have to be a copywriter, and now you can create these amazing blogs, but that doesn't make you a copywriter. So for me, that definition is already a person that is not in marketing and they're creating a blog. They're not copywriters just because they put the prompt in. Because also ChatGPT is not always right.
Okay.
So let's.
But the output of the prompt is a text,
Yes.
right?
And you think that blog is perfect from one prompt?
No, so obviously you're not an expert copywriter, so maybe you're not able to vet it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I say, okay, let me explain what I do with copywriting, but I will explain it with some examples first. So 3 years ago, when you have a question and you want to answer the question with text, what do you do? We're still doing it.
Right.
Where do you add the question?
What in the?
So you have a question and you want to find the answer.
Yeah. So you put it. You open ChatGPT on the browser.
Before ChatGPT, 5 years ago.
Oh, 5 years ago. You go to Google.
Yes, you go to Google. You put the question in.
Yeah.
And then when you're lucky, the question is so precise that Google is giving you a sentence and it's bold and you know from which website it is. Then you have the paid websites. You have the frequently asked questions. So Google is humble enough to say, well, I think I know the answer, but there's a lot more resources and there's a lot more answers. So figure it out yourself. There's a lot of resources, so which you still have to look for it, right? Mm-hmm. Nowadays, everyone puts it in ChatGPT, and ChatGPT gives you one answer.
Right.
And me included, everyone believes that answer is right.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily. Like if you look at the prompt, it says ChatGPT can make mistakes.
Yeah.
So if you think in this way, if someone says, "Oh, create this blog for me," it might sound super smart, but it might be complete nonsense. And if someone doesn't know anything about copywriting, how will they judge this?
Right.
But I think it's amazing that like AI is actually enabling people that are not copywriters create these kind of texts. But if you are thinking from a business perspective and people hire a copywriter, they have a completely different approach. So they're not just going with the first prompt. They're checking the text. They have resources. They add their own storytelling. Then, like you go to the title, you check like several different titles and subtitles, and then you add like some information. Until like last month, it wasn't even like accurate information. It was just data to a specific point. Now AI is changing so rapidly. Now you have like real-time data, but that's all like evolving, right? So a blog is so much more than just a text. And especially if you use it for business, you want to SEO optimize it. You want to have a story. It needs to be the tone of the brand. It's like everything needs to be aligned. So if we're looking from a perspective from a business, you still need to hire copywriters,
right? Because
there's so much more than text. So AI is not replacing it; it's transforming the way how we're working.
Right. So
yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Let me give it a try.
You can debate.
Let me try to argue from my side as to why I think it would replace the role of a copywriter and in a decent amount of instances. Okay. The first reason is, first of all, the on the point of the AI can do mistakes.
Yeah.
Right. And you need someone to make sure that the output is correct. Well, humans do mistakes as well, right? Humans do errors, and you also need someone to vet a human's job and output. And on that point, yes, AI do mistakes, but the IQ of the AI is like 20 times the IQ of a human. So the chances of it, making mistakes are much less. That's right, and that's why people may trust it, because a computer, the assumption or the perception is that a computer will never go wrong, right? So that's one.
Yeah.
The second point is, if I'm a startup entrepreneur, right, and I think a lot of people agree that in a startup culture, the environment is very fast paced, right? You need answers on the go, on the fly,
Yeah.
right? You don't really have time to spend on thinking about what's the right approach for a copywriting strategy, right? You want to minimize your costs and get the job done,
Yes.
right? And this is why these guys may not really care too much about a proper, copywriting resource, and will find a lot of value in getting what they want from ChatGPT, from AI,
Yeah.
right? And I feel like this is where the copywriter's role is at risk, is because you have so many businesses that they don't really care about having consistent tone of voice, for example, where you would need a copywriter to come and analyze and make sure that your copywriting and your text is in line with your brand,
Yeah.
is consistent and all of that. They just want to get the job done. Their product might be too strong for their comms not to be as good. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They're selling.
Yes.
So that's my other point.
That's some very
Did I
good
convince
points.
you?
No.
Fine.
But here we have the two approaches, right? In marketing, you can go for quality or you can go for quantity.
Right.
So what you're describing, and I think it's great. Like if time is our biggest enemy, I think we all agree that we don't have time, and ChatGPT just streamlines all the processes. But if you create all your blogs with ChatGPT, then you might not have a good SEO, And if you're a startup and you want to raise awareness, but nobody can find you anywhere because you're just like creating all these, let's call them empty blogs with no keywords, with no value, with no strategy, then you're producing a lot of blogs, but is it effective? Maybe. Maybe not. If you go for quality, and that's like in the agency where I work now, like we're working with the best restaurants. So for us, quality is always important. So every blog and everything always has a strategy behind it. Blogs are such a good way to do well, like to rank your website with SEO, because people don't really want to see your website. They want to learn maybe about what's the best restaurant, what's the best marketing agency. And then you can create a blog where you're not directly selling yourself, but you have all these keywords, you're answering all these questions. And then at the end, you're kind of like putting your expertise in, and then unconsciously you can convince them that you're the best agency. That's kind of the idea of blogs. So why create a blog if the goal is not to drive traffic? If you create a lot of blogs but they're all empty, they have no strategy, there is no value. This is also, maybe they are, like if you're very good at like prompting and you just want to get like these blogs done, then quantity works as well. On Instagram also, there's so many influencers that say, like just get your content out, like quantity over quality. And then there's these influencers, have high quality like videos and like have a proper strategy and plan. So I don't think we need to argue here, because it's two different marketing approaches. And yes, maybe for people that are companies that focus on quantity, then ChatGPT will replace copywriters. But for those that are actually looking into value and using these tools, like these marketing assets, for something bigger than just people reading it, but for other purposes like SEO and website traffic, then maybe not.
I do believe that if your prompting game is good, you could move the needle into the quality direction a little bit more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Let's move to the next one.
Okay.
All right. AI will eventually make human creativity in marketing obsolete. True or false?
Okay. What's your opinion? Do you want to start, or?
I have a hard time thinking this is true. I think there's creativity in humans in their their flaws, right? And AI doesn't have flaws, or we think it doesn't, right? And there's creativity in flaws, I suppose, right? And in the imperfection, right? And the imperfect life.
Okay.
And so I have a hard time thinking, how can a robot, right, be creative? That's my thought.
Okay, then I agree and disagree as well.
Okay, let tell me why do you agree and why do you disagree?
Okay, so I agree with the sense that like at this stage, like you need humans for creativity because of these flaws. But I think in the future, it might change. So at this stage, I mean, what is ChatGPT? ChatGPT is like a tool that is based with data. It's generative, pre-trained transformation. Like GPT stands for generative, pre-trained transformer, which means it just takes all the data that they have, and then they give you the most likely, like according to like predictions, what works. So word by word, they just put it in, and like, oh, this is the most likely that this is what you want. So that's basically, it just does like, it gives you information that humans already put in, that human created. So everything that ChatGPT is doing now is human creativity.
Right.
So it's nothing new. Like you can use it for brainstorming, for instance, which I think it's an amazing tool to use because, you know, like you can be alone and it's like you have 100 people brainstorming with you with different ideas. But it's all ideas that humans already came up with. ChatGPT isn't thinking. It's just giving the data that we put in like for all these years. So it is basically, you can use it, and I would consider it still as human creativity because humans came up with these ideas and then we put it in data. Now AI will shift though, which like now all the big companies are trying to go towards AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, which means that it's getting closer to like human-like thinking.
Right.
Which might sound scary, but I think this will actually be the game changer in terms of creativity. Because in our minds, creativity is it's based on our experience, our emotions, of our values. So everyone is creative in their own ways, but it was affected from our lives in some way. And like we don't think sometimes out of the box, and really abstract things, they don't even come to our mind. So just imagine you have an AI that has all the knowledge in the world and is able to think like not data driven, but think for itself. Like the things that this AI can create are limitless. It's insane. So I think over time, and we're not there yet, but over time, like, yes, it can definitely replace and make it even better because we don't have all the information that AI has, but AI has all the information and it's not restricted to our concepts, world beliefs, so it can think completely out of the box and create something that humans can't even imagine.
Right. But I mean, you can also probably give it some form of boundaries, right? If, for example, you're trying to come up with a campaign platform for a specific geography or market that has some certain cultural nuances, for example, that you wanna address, you wanna account for.
Yeah.
Right. So you can, even though it'll think, abstract, or out of the box, right? It can still respect these cultural nuances, right?
Yeah. So I'm like AGI will be like limitless because you can still put the prompt in. You can still say, okay, like as you said, like stay in this frame, but it can still come up with ideas that no humankind like would even think about, which is crazy, you know. For me, the universe, for instance, it's such I cannot even, like, we cannot comprehend it in our minds, right?
Yeah.
And then AI can get a better idea for sure, and maybe create things that we're not even able to think,
Right.
which is scary, but I think, and it's gonna happen.
I feel like it's hard to tell until we see it,
Yes.
right? Because you also want to be appealing to your end, to your end user or to your audience. It might come up with an idea that people may not be able to relate to. It might be a crazy idea to some.
Yeah,
right?
I'm laughing so many times when ChatGPT is giving me, and I'm like, okay, I cannot pitch this to the client. Like, yes, you're like.
But it's interesting. Fair enough. Let's move to the
Okay.
third one. I think we disagreed on the first one. We sort of agreed on the second one.
Yeah.
Somehow, but still, I still think maybe we disagreed also on the second one. Let's go to the third one,
Okay.
right? But you convinced me for sure on the second one, so I'll give you props for that. I still need to do some work to convince you on a couple more points.
Okay, all right, let's see.
I'm behind. Okay, third one. Implementing AI in marketing strategies is only beneficial for large companies with big budgets. True or false?
False. I think we agree on this one.
I think this one we definitely agree on.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think AI is actually perfect for small companies because they don't have a lot of resources.
Yeah.
And in a startup, everyone is wearing multiple hats, right?
Yeah.
So you have to do things that you maybe not even experienced in, and ChatGPT can be a guide here. It can be your advisor. I have an example here, like from my experience. So I got the go that I can build my own team, so kind of take an HR role, which I have really no experience of. The first thing I did was just to go to ChatGPT and like, okay, I'm allowed to hire someone, so what am I doing next?
Yeah.
And it gave me a step-by-step guide. I would write all my emails with it, because sometimes you have to pretend you know what you're doing. You don't always know, but then ChatGPT can give you all the advices and kind of also the confidence.
Right.
So I think that's what small companies, and you had that example previously, right? With blogs, like you have, like time is the most like
valuable.
Yeah, the most valuable resource there. And if you can save time, like with copywriting, or that you don't have to hire an HR person to do this, but your team can do this, but they get guidance from ChatGPT. What else do you need?
Okay, fair enough. So we agree on small businesses. How about large companies and big businesses? How would they benefit from AI? If, let's say, a company has all the resources it needs, right? It has the HR department. It has 10 copywriters, not just one.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It has a number of marketing strategists, creatives, creative thinkers.
Cool.
The entire suite of marketing experts.
So the dream. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Making sure that they're delivering the best quality marketing, right?
Yes.
Still, how would AI be beneficial to them?
Okay, so AI can take all the repetitive, mundane things that, I mean, even, like writing emails, it can just streamline all the process, which then will give the marketing heads the chance to go more into strategy and to more focus on what's really bringing value, or what's, like what can make a difference. Then human creativity can come in way more, because you don't have to do this tedious copywriting, like you do the copywriting, but then you do it in your way that you still check everything. It's gonna still streamline the process from one day to like 2 hours.
Right. So it still creates efficiency and agility.
It still streamlines all the process. And I think that's the shift that AI will do. It will shift everything, that we can focus on more valuable things. Mm-hmm. We can focus on strategy. We can focus on creativity. That's what we're trying to do with our clients as well. Like we're writing the captions, we're choosing the images, we AI remove like the like the stains or the wine glass. But then this is all streamlined now. This is all faster. It used to take so much longer. So now we can sit down and say, like, how can we do something really cool? Or next month, there's this Dubai challenge. How can we connect these two? So you can actually create something so much more valuable. The quality will be so much better because AI can take over with all these small repetitive tasks.
Gotcha. Okay. Agreed.
Do you agree? Okay.
Agreed double time.
Okay, perfect.
Next one. AI will create more marketing jobs than it replaces in the next decade. True or false?
Agree. What do you say?
Wait, let me read it again.
Okay.
AI will create more marketing jobs than it replaces in the next decade. You agree?
I agree.
I need to think about this one.
Okay, then think. Aloud.
I mean, when you look at other technologies that have surfaced in the past decade, they have created jobs, right? The internet has created jobs, obviously. E-commerce has created jobs. I mean, Amazon alone, I think, employs more than 1 million people. But I'm having a hard time thinking how AI will create jobs. Why don't you give it a go?
Okay. So first, I think fear of being replaced by machine has always been there. Every technology that has come out would always raise this question. AI, I think, is not just you cannot just put it next to it. It's a completely different game, I would even say. And here I think, and there's so many ways on how you can look at this, but I would love to look at it from a different perspective, like looking at third world countries, for instance, because now AI makes education, makes knowledge so much more accessible for a large group of people that until now, maybe lack of educational resources. Still, there is no equality at this stage, but if we can leverage AI in the most efficient ways and show, implement it in, for instance, schools in third world countries, then they would know how to use it. So they could come up with other things, people that maybe wouldn't work or would, they would be doing farming jobs back at home, and then they can learn English. ChatGPT is a perfect tool to learn English. They have access to all the resources. And now you might argue there's Google. If you have internet, you always had the access. No, it's different because now they can, you speak to ChatGPT and you can do this in your local language, and then it can give you the resources. It can translate full texts. It can show you how you write a CV. So when I was looking for someone, Dubai is so international. I got so many CVs, and you can see where the people are coming from because of the different CVs, how they would design their CVs. So education is not equal, but AI I believe, can equalize it and create jobs in those places where people would maybe not even work.
Right.
Or would have jobs selling banana on the street or something like this. And it can actually, if they see the value and if experts are bringing these tools in there and they learn how to use it, I think it can be a complete game changer. That is the third world countries. I think here as well, it will create so many new jobs, and we will be able to focus so much more on strategy. There is every time there is a new technology, people are scared that jobs will be taken, but there's always new jobs and there is new challenges and new opportunities. At this stage, we don't know where AI is going. It's scary, it's exciting. I would say it will definitely create more jobs, especially hopefully in those places where it's really needed.
Yeah, I do think also it will enable companies to grow. Small to medium companies, businesses to grow, and then therefore, hire more people.
And there will be definitely more entrepreneurs because you can come up with an idea, you don't know how to start, and an AI can guide you step by step, and it can streamline the process. So you can be HR, you can be the CEO, you can be marketing, and it's one person because you have AI as a supporter. And AI is basically an assistant that is smarter than you and can create all these things. You just have to know how to prompt.
Okay. Agreed again. Agreed. We're doing good.
Okay.
We're doing great and agreeing. Okay, next one. Utilizing AI tools like ChatGPT can triple a marketeer's productivity.
I think we also agree on this one.
I think we agree.
Okay, but
Do
maybe
we need to really argue here? But I mean, is there a reason why we would find this false?
Maybe if people don't know how to use it, they no, I like arguing with this, but maybe we can touch on like some products that is not ChatGPT, that also streamline process, because there's so much more, right? Also, not just like large language models, but also just like, add-ons, AI-powered tools that can help. Yeah. But I don't think we can argue with this. We can we can say supportive things why it's correct, but
I think we can just agree on this one.
Okay.
And move to the next one. ChatGPT often sounds inauthentic, fake, and fails to truly engage readers. True or false? False.
Oh,
I think it's true until you use the right prompt.
Yeah, but that's I also think so. But like if you say until, no, that's not like, then you also agree.
Then I say it's true. What do you say, false or true?
Well, I say that like it doesn't sound inauthentic if you do it right, which is basically what you said, like, because ChatGPT is the overall term. So you cannot say, if you use ChatGPT wrong, then it's not right.
Right. But I mean, to be fair, for our listeners and viewers, right, who may not be ChatGPT power users, I guess the point here is that you have to use the right prompt.
Absolutely.
Right?
And you have to think ChatGPT is your intern, and you have to give it as many information as you can. And then if it doesn't give you what you want, then you did a bad job of explaining what you want. Also, I think why often it sounds inauthentic and fake is because people don't communicate with it. They think they put one prompt in, and then they just think, oh, no, that sounds so bad. I'd rather do it myself. No, like you have to give it all the information, like an intern. Then it gives you something, you look over it and you say, oh, I like this part, I didn't like that part. You really give it feedback like to a human, and then the next time it can make it better because it learns from your feedback. I always like tell ChatGPT to give me 10 prompts, sometimes 15, sometimes 20, and then I take what I like. For instance, like word combinations. I'm like, I really like this word combination. Can you create something with this? You never just go with with one answer. You copy it and paste it. No, it's like it's a process of getting there, and communication is the key to not make it sound fake.
Fair enough.
And I think it's much more difficult to do it for your personal page than for a company. Like I find it like when I look for captions like for my posts, I'm like, no, this sounds so ChatGPT, and I'm trying to change it, and somehow it always sounds fake. But for a client, because you know the brand so well and they have a specific tone of voice, for me it's much easier to do it for them.
Right.
So
makes sense to me. Let's talk a little bit about the last point that we have here, also conscious of time, which is related to long form captions and whether they increase views on Instagram. And I think this is a really cool one for our viewers out there trying to get more engagement on their Instagram. Right. So we all know today ChatGPT is capable in producing long form captions,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And so the point is long form captions on Instagram increases views. True or false?
True.
True.
Very true.
Very
yes.
good.
You agree as well?
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think what's important here is why Instagram has become so important, right? So why do companies, especially in Dubai, focus so much on Instagram? It's because you have how the brand presents itself, but you also have authentic UGC, for instance. So you can see, oh, does the venue really look like this? Or the stories, for instance. So that's why even for businesses, Instagram is becoming so important. And if you want to increase the viewers on your posts, then you can just add keywords that you think potential, for instance, guests for restaurants will put into Instagram search.
Right.
Because now it works like a search engine. Everyone is checking everything on Instagram and puts best restaurants in Instagram search. We didn't do that before. We did it with Google, and now this completely changed. So you need to add these keywords that you think potential like customers will put into Instagram, and then you can, like, they will find your posts faster and easier, and that will increase your views.
And you should absolutely provide all the information in the caption, right? You should make use of that space.
Exactly. But here the most important is to have the right keywords.
Right.
So don't just put all your offers, and don't be too promotional, but just have the keywords that you think people usually add.
Right.
And when they search for your brand.
Okay. Fair enough. Cool. Franciska.
Perfect. So I think we agreed on most of these things.
We agreed on 80%.
Okay.
I'm happy with that. I'll live with that. No problem.
Great, me too.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Franciska, for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate your input, and on to next time.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.